Next up in our Big 12 season preview is the Colorado Buffaloes. And Dalton, the record didn't match the hype, that's for sure. They went 4-8 last year, but you got to understand, this is a massive improvement for Colorado. They were 4-8 in 2023. The year before, they tied for the nation's worst record with a 1-11 record that year. So they improved their win total by 3, which for any other school, that's a big, big improvement. But for Colorado, with all the hype around them, it felt like a disappointment. But there are big expectations this year, Dalton, for them to at least make a bowl game. And there are plenty of reasons to be optimistic about that with Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter and a really good receiving core and a really good secondary, an improved front seven on defense too. So there are some things to be optimistic about, especially in that passing game right now.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, the biggest sign of hope for this team is that you do have Shedeur Sanders, who is a top 5, possibly even top 3 quarterback and a potential first-round pick, and an absolutely loaded group of receivers, man. You're returning Travis Hunter, who might be the freakiest just athlete in college football, right? Jimmy Horn Jr. in the slot, who did a nice job for him, and 2 really good transfers who are going to help them a lot. First is Will Shepard from Vanderbilt, who gives them an element at 6'3" and 200 pounds of just that X-receiver that can win contested balls that I don't think they really had last year, right? When you talk about Xavier Weaver was kind of a lighter guy. Jimmy Horn's a slot guy. Travis Hunter can't do everything for you, right? Even though he's about as close as he can get to doing it. And then you have a guy that I love from Florida Atlantic, LeJontay Wester, quietly one of the best slot receivers in the country. You're going to see those 4 guys a lot for a team that uses more 10 personnel, 1 back and 4 receivers, than any team in the country. So Shedeur and these receivers, a loaded receiver unit, is what gives you hope if you're in Boulder.
Absolutely. And the biggest question on that side of the ball is the offensive line. And will the offensive line hold up? And that's really the only thing that can hold them back from letting up the scoreboard, right? When you have an elite quarterback in Shedeur Sanders and a really, really good receiving core as well. Last year, Colorado gave up 56 sacks, which was the second most in the nation. And they should have 3 new starters on that offensive line, including a 5-star true freshman in Jordan Seaton at left tackle. Now, yes, he is a 5-star recruit, but anytime you're starting an 18, 19-year-old at left tackle, there's some growing pains to be expected. So it's going to be interesting to see how Jordan Seaton does. Even though he's the number 1 offensive lineman coming out of high school, how does he do immediately as a starter at left tackle as a true freshman? Dalton, tell me more about Shedeur Sanders and why we think he's one of the best quarterbacks in America.
Well, I think the theme holds with what you just said, right? Last year, he had the 3rd best clean pocket grade in the country, only behind Caleb Williams and Jaden Daniels, who went 1-2 in the draft. So if he's clean, look, he doesn't put the ball in danger. He takes a few too many sacks. A lot of those sacks and pressures were caused on his own, trying to play a little hero ball as they were struggling, but he sees the field exceptionally well. I think amidst all the hype and everything around him and his dad and everything is the fact that he's got a wicked football pedigree, man. His knowledge of coverages is at an NFL level right now, okay? BB plus arms, solid mobility. He can pick up first downs when he needs to. But to me, it's from the neck up, the way Shedeur plays from the pocket and makes quick, smart decisions is what sets him apart. As long as they protect him, he can be an elite quarterback in the country.
Absolutely, man. And now we're going to highlight their best offensive player, which is Travis Hunter, the Shohei Ohtani of college football, as their top receiver and top corner. He has freakish athleticism at receiver, man, and great ball tracking ability that translates to him being really effective in contested situations. He caught 64% of his contested targets this past season, which was the 5th best rate in the Pac-12. He also has really reliable hands as well. He was only one of 5 players in the country with no drops on at least 70 targets, man. So, listen, he might be better suited at cornerback long term, but if he's stuck to receiver, he'd be a first-round pick at receiver, and maybe he will stick to receiver in the NFL, Dalton, considering how much more paid they are than corners in the NFL.
Yeah, no, for sure. And him as your number 1 receiver is a really good option to have. But they have a really good option, too, as their number 1 corner, a guy who's really, really talented, has great ball skills. And actually, it's the same person. It's Travis Hunter, right? So, like you said, the Ohtani of college football right now, just the true two-way player maybe that we've never seen before. A 74.7 coverage grade that really doesn't do it justice. If you take out the second half of the Stanford game in which he played almost 160 snaps and had to face Alec Eilmaner in press man coverage all night. You take out basically the second half of that game, and that coverage grade goes up by 10 points, and he looks like an elite corner. So running out of gas against one of the 6 or 7 best receivers in the country, especially when it's your first game off the cheap shot he took against Colorado State, missed 3 games. There were some circumstances with that one. You question, especially at corner, if he can play 150, 160 snaps a game, lead the nation in snaps, and do all that. But if anybody can do it, it's him. He's got the hands that he has at receiver, they show up at corner. I mean, the Travis Hunter highlights, he really has the ability to be the best corner in the country, right? I mean, could you imagine if he actually only played 80 snaps a game instead of 140 or 150, right? So a lot of balance that has to happen, but there's no question about his talent on either side of the ball.
I saw a quote from an anonymous scout that was like, he has Pro Bowl talent at receiver and all-pro talent at corner. I mean, this guy is a truly special player, man. And listen, we're not being cheeky by highlighting him as their offensive player spotlight and defensive player spotlight. He truly deserved the spotlight on both sides of the ball. All right, Dalton, big question now. What are we expecting in year 2 of Deion Sanders? Do we think they make a bowl game, or do they miss a bowl game once again?
No, I think they absolutely should make a bowl game. You've got too much talent to be a 4-win team again. And I think, look, the big story last year was obviously he came in with a bunch of guys, Shedeur and Hunter and some other guys from Jackson State, and Deion brought in his guys and had to change the culture. What they did this year in the transfer portal, getting both Wester brothers, there's Jalen at linebacker too, who's going to really help their run defense, also from FAU. BJ Green at defensive end, Deion Hayes at defensive end from Pitt, a bunch of D tackles who are just brought in there for run D, right? Offensive line, a guy like Justin Mayers from UTEP, who's a really underrated guard. They targeted their flaws this year. Last year, they just said, we need talent and we need to change the culture. This year, they targeted the things they were really bad at, right? Pass protection, run defense. Those are the 2 big things. And 2 transfer running backs that are a little more physical than the 2 they had last year. I didn't realize till I looked at it for this preview, Colorado had the lowest rushing grade in the Power 5 and the second worst in the country. So getting Dallin Hayden in there and a guy in Isaiah Augustave, too, who brings a 230-pound presence from Arkansas, you can see this time around when you look at their whole portal class what they were targeting. And they were targeting all of their flaws. Now, we'll see how quickly this gels together. And even their first couple of non-conference games are not easy. They got North Dakota State right off rip. And you might go, that's FCS. No, that's a top 2 FCS program. They're better than a lot of the group of 5 programs out there right now, right? And then Nebraska, who gave them fits last year, even though they beat them, right? Especially up front. So it's a tough schedule. They absolutely should make a bowl game. And honestly, if they're better in the trenches, I could see them contending for a Big 12 title spot.
I agree with you. I think they have a talent to at least make a bowl game and a ceiling that's much higher than that, man, with 2 potential top 10 picks in Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter. Very talented receiving core and secondary, even outside of Travis Hunter. Yeah, I think it's a high ceiling for this team. And I think that, like I said, they've really improved, especially that defensive line. They've really improved that defensive line. I have a little bit more question about the offensive line, but I do think they got a little bit better on that side. Now, again, they play a relatively hard schedule, right? North Dakota State, Nebraska. That Nebraska game is a huge game. At Nebraska, playing against Dylan Raiola, playing against a really good Nebraska defense as well. And after that, they have UCF, Kansas State, Arizona. That's back-to-back weeks for them. And they have Utah on that schedule as well, Kansas on that schedule, Oklahoma State on the schedule. It's a hard schedule for Colorado. But I think a bowl game is certainly likely, and I think that they could be better than that if they really hit their ceiling. Now, that is the question. Can they hit their ceiling? But I think they have the talent. I mean, talent-wise, man, this is one of the better teams in the Big 12 right now. It's a matter of whether or not they can truly hit that ceiling with that talent. But that wraps up our Big 12 season preview with the Colorado Buffaloes. Hey, thanks for watching the PFF College Football Show. Before I let you go, though, we have an unbelievable deal for you guys right now. If you use the code CFB25, you get 25% off your PFF Plus annual subscription. We've got the 2024 College Football Preview Guide that you can find over at pff.com, featuring the best players in the country from all 70 Power 5 teams, plus 10 Group of 5 teams that have the best chance at making the college football playoff as well. You can also gain access to NCAA premium stats for historical games, teams, and player tracking dating all the way back to 2014, so the last decade or so of college football. All the stats you can hope for, you can find in PFF Premium as well. Also, you can be the GM of your favorite NFL team with our unbelievable mock draft simulator where you can draft up to 7 rounds of players for your NFL team. And if you want to dominate your fantasy league, you can do that as well using the best fantasy tools on the planet. All of that and more with your PFF Plus annual subscription, which you can find for 25% off right now with the code you can find in the description. Or if you want to go to subscribe.pff.com and use the code CFB25 at checkout. Again, you get 25% off your PFF Plus subscription. This won't last forever, so make sure you take advantage of it right now.